Whether or not you like Taylor Swift's new album, I think the Torture Poets Department will be considered one of the most significant albums of her career because of four things: what it says about her craft, her artistry, her personal life, and her public life. We'll start with the one that most people want to talk about: what this album says about her personal life. For starters, contrary to most commentary I've seen, the songs on this album are mostly about only two subjects: her relationship with Joe Alwyn and the public. Of the 31 songs, about half are about Joe. Another half dozen are about her relationship with the public, and I know people will argue with me about this, but only 2 to 4, maybe, if that, are about Matt Healy, and usually he's only used as a reference to something else. How do I know this? Because aside from getting the most songs from her in one shot with this double album, we're also getting the most commentary from her from the get-go, like her song introductions from the iHeartRadio album premiere or the 5 Stages of Heartbreak Apple Music playlists. She's been very revealing with giving us context for this album. I'm not going to get into the details now, but the evidence is also in the writing. It's clear from her lyrics that she's really been preoccupied with two things. 1, processing and grieving the end of her 6-year relationship, and 2, anticipating the cost and impact of how the public will digest events in her personal life. And here's where her level of craft and artistry comes in. Based on the information she's given, this album not only sheds light on the entire arc of her 6-year relationship, it also recalls songs on previous albums and gives them new context. Because of this album not only acts as a bookend to her relationship, but also to the entire era of her body of work, starting from Reputation. And one of the most impressive and fascinating things to examine for me is how Taylor uses consistent themes and motifs in her writing to create a language of understanding for her fans. We see this in the recurring symbols, imagery, and lyric choices she uses whenever she's writing about specific subjects like Joe or herself or fame. This acts as a key in giving context to her work, allowing her fans to understand her songs even as she and her music evolves over time. I think this is why she has such a strong bond with her fans, because they're essentially having a conversation that spans years. When it comes to her craft as a songwriter, I think this album has some of her best songwriting. Songs like Down Bad, But Daddy I Love Him, The Albatross. The writing is so strong and really shows how she continues to grow in mastery of her craft. When it comes to her artistry, this album is a testament to how she continues to evolve creatively and the freedom with which she does it. If you didn't like this album at first listen, it's because it was not what you may have expected or hoped for. Sonically, it's not another blockbuster pop album like 1989 or Reputation. The thing is, if she wanted to make another quintessential pop hit like Cruel Summer or Blank Space, she could have. But she had a very specific vision for this album. And this is actually a sweet spot that many artists would love to be in, where you have the freedom to explore and try new things and a loyal fan base who's willing to go there with you. At Taylor's level, she's no longer creatively handicapped. By that, I mean she's no longer beholden to the creative inputs and limits often imposed upon artists by their labels. She can pretty much make whatever she wants because she's already established commercial and financial success. And finally, the Torture Poets Department is the first time Taylor writes extensively and explicitly about her public life, specifically her relationship with her audience, her fans, the press, and the general public. She's touched upon these topics before, like public image, identity, and fame. But this time she does it with a level of candor I don't think we've ever seen before. Her lyrics are often direct, frank, at times scathing, and overall poignant. We get a close look at how she sees the world, how she thinks the world sees her, how she sees herself, and how she sees herself as a result of how the world sees her. We really see the ongoing struggle of someone living with fame and celebrity, and how the relationship between her private life and her art is both symbiotic and necessary, yet very much costly and bittersweet.